Good afternoon. Welcome to the 2024 ceremony for the Presidential Awards for Community Multicultural Enrichment. And welcome to all of our guests, family and friends, our provosts, and any Board of Visitors members that we may have here today. Pacme celebrates members of the VCU community dedicated to the success of our students, colleagues, patients, and the many communities we serve. Equity and inclusion creates diverse places like VCU, and I'm grateful to join you in celebrating our colleagues, classmates, and friends dedicated to creating a place where all feel welcome. We're also celebrating 3 decades of Pacme. President Emeritus Dr. Eugene Trani established Pacme in 1994 as a way to recognize and encourage activities that promote civility, build community, establish cross-cultural initiatives, and advocate for equity and inclusion. And today, with President Rao, we are recognizing members of the VCU community committed to VCU's very important strategic goal of diversity driving excellence. It is my pleasure to introduce VCU President, Dr. Michael Rao. As president, he has centered the values of inclusion, equity, and diversity as his vision for a university dedicated to advancing humanity. It's an honor to work with him in support of these values, and I'm delighted to welcome him to the podium to speak. Please welcome Dr. Michael Rao.
Thank you, and what a gracious introduction and welcome for all of us. And indeed, I'd like to add my welcome to all of you. This is a really, really important time of the year. And actually, as I think about it over the last 15 years, this event and what we do in this event is actually more important now than it's ever been. It becomes increasingly important, very, very important for all of the reasons that I hope are obvious to all of you, but by the time I'm done talking, will be very obvious to you. I want to start out by thanking our Vice President, Faye Belgrave, and her team. Faye, thank you for putting all of this together along with your team, these events. Thank you. As well as the Pacme Planning and Selection Committee, thanks to all of you for the work that you did to help us identify the people who we will honor today. And we're especially honored to welcome Lauren Melton Glasper, granddaughter of Herman Melton Sr. And hi, thank you so much for being here with us. Can you stand up for just a moment? Welcome. So you might remember the name Melton because of the Reese Melton Award, and Mr. Melton was a member of the VCU team at the medical center for more than 50 years, which is hard to imagine. That's a very long lifetime of commitment. But I also want to take the time, of course, to recognize, and we'll recognize all of you in more detail, but congratulations to our honorees. But I want to thank the nominators, too, because the nominators play a really big role in making sure that we can identify the people who really represent the very best of VCU and the commitment that they bring life to the commitment that you might read on a website or that we might say the institution has. Especially, and including in the university and both the health system. And what they're doing is they're, of course, playing a significant role in recognizing diversity, but they're also really, most importantly, helping to advance inclusivity. And that's the most important thing. And look at where we are now. 55% now of our undergraduate student population, and now about half of our students are all from minority backgrounds, but more than half in the undergraduate category. 37% of our incoming freshmen at VCU, first generation, absolutely part of our mission, and a third of our undergraduate students are Pell eligible, And of course, they bring to us economic diversity, which is an important part of the learning experience and a real part of the United States of America at this point. Students now are from 48 different states, Washington, D.C., and 141 countries worldwide. And we've never had that representation be that broad ever. There are, I think, only 195 countries, period. So we're doing really well with that. The other thing I thought was interesting is that we're the only institution in Virginia that was named age-friendly by the Gerontological Society of America. And why is that important? It's important because that's another form, another way in which people are different and bring value and difference to the table. So we're the most diverse that the United States has ever been. To me, that is a gigantic value. It is an important part of who we are. We are diversity in the United States of America. And the other thing to keep in mind is that we're one of the most diverse countries in the world. So that was not always the case, but it absolutely is the case right now. And it's a great strength. It's a richness that we can enjoy in our experiences as we get to work with each other, know each other, date each other, marry each other, all of those things that are part of what our lives are. And that's wonderful. It's also critical, without question, to our global success. And there are many dimensions to global success. I think all of you probably know that, particularly as the world becomes more interconnected. Economic is one of those elements, and that is an important part of our global success. So today, we're really celebrating some of the leaders, some of the people who are really icons in terms of advancing inclusion. And I'd say that's one of the most important things that we can do. As leaders, we've got an opportunity in front of ourselves to find ways, and I might say positive ways, something Brooke mentioned when she talked about how this was structured to begin with, positive ways to bring people together around what we are. We can't be arguing about diversity. We are diversity. We are diverse. There's no point in arguing about this. There can be arguments, though, I suppose, about the extent to which people are individually committed to inclusion. But when we bring clarity to support how diversity enriches our country and why opportunity and inclusion matters so much to everyone's future, hopefully that brings us together without polarizing us. The key, I think, is going to be around how we bring ourselves together. And we've got an opportunity as leaders, particularly as people of thought, which you can say university people are, on how we do this. Just think about what happens. So I've talked in the State of the University address about how this has been the best year ever at VCU, or 2023 was, and 2024 looks like it's going to be even better, by the way. I mentioned record-breaking freshman enrollment. Take a close look at that record-breaking freshman enrollment. It's really diverse. And when you ask students what are the things that you really appreciate about VCU, one of the most important things they mention is it's diverse. I'm comfortable being at VCU, and that's awesome. When I think about fundraising and how far we've come there, I do a lot of the fundraising myself. In fact, I was on the road yesterday doing some. There is no question that a lot of what drives a lot of the giving at VCU is people looking at us as a microcosm of the world. They look at the diversity of this institution. And, you know, the guy yesterday said something to me. He's an MD graduate. He said something to me that I thought was really cool. He said, you guys really get diversity right because you're just not talking about one aspect of it. And he means ethnicity in particular. He says, you're talking about all of the ways in which you embrace diversity, all of the ways in which people are different, many ways that are just not visible, but an important part of someone's identity. And I'm really proud that that's what people are giving to. Very, very grateful for that. And this is a community that truly, truly has made it possible for us to achieve this other designation called the top 20 most innovative in public universities in the country. That's also happening because, why? You've got the diversity, including diversity of thought, and diversity of creativity at this institution. We've become one of the top 50 NSF-ranked institutions for research. Look at a lot of the research going on, and look at who's benefiting from this research. Look at the impact that this research that we have. You remember, speaking of NSF, do you remember when Panch Sethuraman came? He's the director of NSF. He said probably 6 different times, this is a university that matters because you're bringing in the missing millions of STEM. So many people have been missing from STEM, but that's not what's happening at VCU. Why did we get comprehensive cancer center status? We got comprehensive cancer status because I can tell you I was deeply involved in it. It's because we talked about our commitment to all of the populations that are affected by cancer. And it is disparate. There are populations that are affected much more by cancer than other populations. And we are committed to that, and we talked about that, and that's why we are. If you look at the opening of the Children's Hospital of Richmond in 2023, we could walk over there right now. I probably couldn't let you do this, but you would see that we have a very diverse patient population. We are taking care of everybody, and I'm really proud of that. Why do we have a School of Public Health? Well, I'd said we wanted to have a School of Public Health when I came, and we didn't make a lot of progress on that for a number of different reasons. They weren't me, by the way. And then 2020 came along, and when you saw COVID hit, right? And when you see even epidemics hit or catastrophic diseases hit, they hit some populations way harder than they do others. And so when you know you're not going to be able to reach every population through a palliative approach to care, public health becomes a really important way in which you're able to address a lot of the needs that have to be addressed. And we've got an incredible dean, Vanessa Shepard, who's going to be just a perfect leader for that. So listen, working together, which is another thing that doesn't always happen in diverse environments, but does happen very well here. Our faculty, our staff, and our students have been incredible, just an incredible force in really shaping this into a model university among public institutions. So I'm very, very grateful to all of you. So congratulations to all of you. Congratulations to your families and your friends. Thank you to the nominators. And I'd ask you to just keep in mind and remember, we are diversity. The key really is, how are we going to get to the place where we need to go? Our future depends on inclusion. We've got some work to do there, but with leaders like this, we've got a good shot at making it happen. So let's get on with the program. Thanks.
We are diversity. Thank you so much, Dr. Rao. And now it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Faye Belgrave, VCU Vice President of Inclusive Excellence and Chief Diversity Officer. Dr. Belgrave.
Thank you, Brooke and President Rao. Welcome. I'd like to start today's celebration by first acknowledging the 2024 Pacme Selection Committee for their time and great care in selecting this year's honorees. If you're here, please stand or raise your hand. Brooke Berry, Christopher Brooks, Alina Hampton, Monique Sample, Alex Wagaman, Faith Wickerson. Thank you so much for selecting these outstanding honorees. Now I am pleased to join you in celebration of our 2024 Pacme winners. The winner of the 2024 Presidential Award for Community Multicultural Enrichment for Academic and Administrative Leadership is Dr. Sean Yutzi. Dr. Yutzi serves as the acting chair for the Department of African American Studies and is a professor with the Department of Psychology. Dr. Yutzi was nominated by Dr. Catherine Ingracia Dean of the College of Humanities and Sciences. Dr. Ingracia, will you share your remarks with us?
Thank you, Faye. I am absolutely delighted to have the opportunity to introduce my colleague, Dr. Sean Utze, a professor with joint appointments in the Department of Psychology and the Department of African American Studies. As Faye mentioned, he currently serves as acting chair, soon to be permanent chair, of the Department of African American Studies, a role he has held for the department twice before. We were partners in crime when we were both chairs in the College of Humanities and Sciences. It's easy for me to talk about the excellence of Dr. Utze as a scholar. He's published more than 60 journal articles and 2 books. He's received external funding for his scholarship, as well as multiple national awards, including being named as Distinguished Psychologist by the Association of Black Psychologists. He's also been a Fulbright Scholar. But it's other parts of his work I want to focus on today. In his role as chair, he has been tireless in his advocacy for the department and its faculty, and he brings clear vision, empathetic sensibilities, and strong leadership to this important department. He has fostered the vitality of his department, mentored Black faculty and students, protected the department's independence, and increased its presence at VCU and within the community. Under his leadership, this department plays an important role in supporting historically marginalized students on our campus and in fostering debate about pressing issues. He has also championed Black History in the Making Awards, created and sponsored by the Department of African American Studies, which honors African American students and showcases their contributions to VCU and the community. But it is also in the community that Dr. Utze makes an important contribution and reminds us that one doesn't have to be a department chair to be a leader. One of his colleagues described Sean as a public scholar at heart, and indeed his community engagement demonstrates how public scholarship serves as a vital bridge between academia and society, enhancing the accessibility and relevance of his research and democratizing knowledge by making it available to an audience beyond the confines of academia. One of the ways most recently Dr. Utze has shared his knowledge is through his documentary films. As an active filmmaker, Dr. Utze has directed 4 feature-length films that tackle really challenging subjects like medicine and the exploitation of Black bodies, the struggle to reclaim Richmond's African burial ground, and most recently a film titled The Central Lunatic Asylum for Colored Insane, which premiered in 2022 and explored the history of the first psychiatric facility for African Americans in the U.S. His willingness to lead intellectually and tell hard stories is matched by his leadership administratively, and they are indeed mutually reinforcing. As a result, without a doubt, Dr. Utze is an academic leader who is most highly deserving of VCU's Pacme Award for academic and administrative leadership. Dr. Utze's multifaceted contributions make him an exemplary asset to the VCU community, embodying an inspiring commitment to scholarship, mentorship, and social justice.
Oh, over here?
Am I supposed to? Okay.
Oh, that's good. Just in case it shows up. One more.
Thank you, thank you. I'm very honored and privileged. Good afternoon, esteemed colleagues, friends, and guests. I am deeply honored by this recognition of my efforts over the past 20 years to advocate for equity, inclusion, and justice in our community. This work has led to strained relationships, hurt feelings, and professional backlash. Nonetheless, I understood the assignment and made every effort to faithfully carry it out. I have never been concerned with the inducements of career advancement and professional accolades. What I do is based on an understanding of that I have a responsibility to those who came before me and sacrificed so much so that I could move in these spaces and create opportunities for others. This award is not just a reflection of my individual contributions, but a testament to the dedication and resilience of my entire community. I am the consequence of generations of struggle, Although I appreciate the gesture by Catherine and Faye to nominate me for this award, I don't view it as validation of my work. My validation comes from the commitment I have to working toward the liberation of the Black community in all communities. Yet, even as we stand here today to celebrate this occasion, we must acknowledge that our journey towards equity and inclusion is far from over. While we have made strides forward, we cannot ignore the persistent barriers that continue to divide us. Injustice still stains our society and campus. Racism is still alive and well, and too many voices remain unheard. We must do more to ensure the equity of our term faculty, Black faculty, staff, and to support our students' ability to learn about the history of all Americans. So let us use this moment not only to reflect on how far we have come, but also recognize how much work we still have to do. We cannot afford to become complacent in the face of injustice. We must remain steadfast in our commitment to challenging systems of oppression, dismantling barriers and access to opportunity, and amplifying the voices of those who have been marginalized and silenced. Together, we have the power to create lasting change. Let us seize the opportunity to rededicate ourselves to the noble task of building a more equitable, inclusive, and just society for all. Thank you for this honor and for your unwavering commitment to this vital work. Catherine and Faye, I appreciate this. It's been 20 years since I've been here, but this is not why I do it. I'd like to ask all my current students and former students to stand up for a minute. This is my award. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you. That reminded me why we're all here. Thank you so much. Our next award is the Faculty Award. The winner of the 2024 Pacme Award for Faculty is Dr. Kim Case. Dr. Case is a professor with the Department of Psychology and affiliate professor of Gender, Sexuality, and Women's Studies. I now invite Dr. Ellen Carpenter, associate professor with the Department of Psychology, to share some remarks.
Thank you. I have to say, it was a relatively easy lift to nominate Dr. Kim Case for the 2024 Pacme Faculty Award. She has helped countless colleagues, myself included, to have the brave DEI conversations that have positively impacted our pedagogy, scholarship, and service at VCU. And rest assured, her impact reaches far beyond VCU. I attend several teaching of psychology conferences each year, and at each one, I meet engaged faculty from across the nation who are familiar with Dr. Case's syllabus challenge or anti-racist pedagogy. Or they might mention one of her 2 books she has co-edited about faculty incorporating social justice work in their teaching and service. Or her 14 journal articles or chapters, or the 16 professional presentations reflecting DEI issues. Or perhaps the 2 special issues of journals devoted to intersectionality and social issues. Regarding classroom teaching, Dr. Case has recently taught 2 new course preparations at VCU that explicitly address DEI. The first is a general education course entitled Introduction to Race and Racism in the U.S. And the second course is Psychology of Women, which she has designed with a focus of intersectional pedagogy. Whatever role she occupies, Dr. Case regularly voices equity concerns, cites literature on bias in evaluating faculty, and advocates for recognizing the invisible labor by those who identify as women and faculty of color. She also amplifies the teaching labor conducted by faculty, both tenure track and tenured, who employ social justice pedagogies. It is not an understatement to say that we are indeed fortunate to call Dr. Kim Case our colleague. It is gratifying to see her DEI efforts recognized at this level. I am thrilled to introduce Dr. Kim Case, the 2024 recipient of the Pacme Faculty Award.
While they coordinate that, okay. Woo, okay. I told Austin about my butterflies that started with, okay, that's fine. Oh, take glasses, it says at the top. My gosh, oh, jeez, okay. The fact that I made it here with these in my purse. Okay, thank you, Ellen, thank you, Ellen, thank you, Ellen. That's the first thing. Thank you to President Rao, the Pacme Award Committee, obviously, the Office of the Vice President of Inclusive Excellence, my faculty colleagues who live their social justice values out loud, my staff colleagues whose DEI efforts too often remain invisible, and all of VCU students who push us to do better as they should. And also congratulations to all the awardees and also nominees. I think we probably should have them here. Okay, so quick story about my friend, Dr. Desdemona Rios, who identifies as a Chicana first-generation working class faculty member from East LA, and she's an equity expert serving on high-level DEI committees at a Hispanic-serving institution, university. She often calls it a Hispanic enrolling institution, so you can read into that, or we can talk about that after. Within her leadership roles in committee service, her expertise led to her asking questions specifically designed to dismantle groupthink and call attention to power and structural oppression and find creative solutions to better serve students in positive ways like President Rao mentioned earlier. However, rather than lean into the discomfort required for growth, over time, leaders of the institution began excluding Desi from committees, disinviting, and removing her from leadership roles, or not continuing her leadership roles at the time of, re-up. So, after about 8 years of this, due to stress and health consequences of persistent exclusion, she left her tenured faculty position. In fact, she left academia altogether, which is a huge loss, in summer of 2023. This story is very common, which is why I wanted to share it. And meanwhile, across higher ed, we ask ourselves why we cannot retain faculty of color, right? So think about this story, and I'll come back to that in a minute. A few years ago, during a workshop on burnout, I was actually a participant, which was great, not running the workshop. I was asked what I want to be remembered for post-mortem. I think they said your last week on Earth or something. And I had to think about it, okay. Well, maybe DEI. Well, I need to be more specific, I thought. So I said, I want to be remembered for being afraid and doing it anyway. And I definitely don't always rise to the occasion on this, definitely not 100% of the time, but I feel like that's been the fundamental approach, or at least the fundamental approach I try to take over the last 25 years of justice work. So here comes my notes to everyone. So for those who find themselves with the most power in a given setting, or at least a huge bucket of relative power in the room, maybe you're a president, maybe you're a provost, I see your provost here, maybe you're a chair or a dean, maybe you lead a student organization, maybe you're influential on a committee or in your community, right? So these are the notes that are related to being afraid and doing it anyway. These are not all the recommendations, but there's 3. Okay, feel uncertain and lean into cultural humility anyway. That's not easy, but we can do it. Be uncomfortable when others name and critique our very own structural barriers to equity, but at the same time, stay open to making big changes anyway. Recognize your ego or your status may feel threatened when someone below you in the academic hierarchy asks powerful questions, and that can mean, that could be anyone depending on where you sit. As Desi did that so many times, and amplify their voice anyway. These are the difficult, but we are up to the task of doing these things intentionally. So just to close, in our increasingly fear-based culture, the fears that underlie uncertainty, discomfort, maybe threats to ego, all of those moments are driving our decisions way more than we know and getting in the way of what we really do value. So despite all of that and all that fear that displayed themselves in these behaviors, I'm asking the most powerful, in a given context, right, to be afraid and intentionally do the work of equity and justice anyway, okay? And at the last moment, before I leave the stage or go over there, thank you to my family and friends that showed up today for support. I couldn't have done any of this without your all support, so thank you.
Thank you, Kim, for those inspiring remarks. The recipient of the 2024 Pacme Award for Staff is Christina Davis. Christina serves as an academic advisor, yay for advisors, And also an instructor with interdisciplinary studies. I invite Dr. Zach Hilbert, Director of Interdisciplinary Studies, to share remarks on Christina.
Thank you very much. So it's my great privilege today to have a couple of minutes to speak about Christina Davis, an alumna and now advisor in the Interdisciplinary Studies program. As an energetic and dedicated champion for equity among students, employees, and all Virginians, Christina is a highly impactful change maker whose contributions are well worthy of this offer, of this honor and offer. Christina Davis is a sought-out voice for Indigenous rights at VCU and across the Commonwealth. Her statewide efforts focus on increasing access to higher education for Indigenous populations. Christina is a member and vocal leader on CHEV's Virginia Indigenous Nations in Higher Education Collective. In recent years, she has helped to organize and lead the Virginia Tribal Education Consortium's annual conferences, including serving as the keynote speaker in 2023, when she presented on revitalizing Virginia Indian Indigenous culture through curricular change. Christina was similarly the keynote speaker for the 2023 VCU Health System's Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion's Native American Heritage Program, presenting a thought-provoking talk titled Gifts of Our Ancestors. On our campus, Christina has brought an impactful and vital perspective to numerous talks and panel discussions for colleagues and students. In April of last year, she was the moderator for the Indigenous Alumni Panel Herstory Month through the Office of Multicultural Student Affairs, and again in November served as a panelist for the Office of Multicultural Student Affairs discussion titled Native Enough, a panel discussion on being Indigenous and multiracial. In 2019, this list goes on, and I want to point it out because as much as we need to highlight voices like this, Christina uses hers so often, even in places and in times that we don't necessarily always get a chance to see and celebrate. At a university like this, we've got so many classes and so many people who are able to stand up, who are given roles that allow them to stand up, that push them to stand up. Christina has done so much work standing up herself, putting herself in the middle of these conversations, and so being able to list these off is itself a privilege. In 2019, she gave a talk through OMSA, for OMSA, titled We Are Still Here, and that same year presented Women of Color in Academia, How Solidarity Amongst Us Make an Impact on our students, for the Student Service Career Community Conference. Christina's impact in University College has been felt far longer than her current term as a dedicated advisor. We in IDS are proud to have been with her on a portion of her journey through college as well, as Christina is a 2020 graduate of the VCU Interdisciplinary Studies program. As an undergraduate student in the Interdisciplinary Studies program, Christina used her senior capstone project in Professor Mariah Crilly's class to research land acknowledgement statements, draft her own, and share it with the wider university community. After graduation, she continued her commitment to honoring her own indigeneity, as well as VCU's relationship to Indigenous peoples and lands by serving on the university's Land Acknowledgement Committee. She is now also co-chair of the University College Council for Diverse, Equitable, and Inclusive Change, planning and leading workshops and learning opportunities for her faculty and advising colleagues on topics ranging from microaggressions to narrative, testimony, and DEI. In these and countless other ways, Christina Davis has relentlessly and persistently pursued equity at VCU. Equity is an important word to remember, transforming her personal experiences into applied research projects and ultimately university service. She will begin working on her PhD in the VCU School of Education this fall. With the intention of continuing her heroic work on uplifting Indigenous students in higher education. I and her other colleagues in IDS and University College could think of no better candidate for the Pacme Staff Award than Christina, who has dedicated her time and energy to assuring that underserved populations in Virginia are given greater opportunities and that her colleagues and students have the tools and knowledge they need to assure that everyone that they touch has a chance to succeed. Thank you.
Y'all, I'm shaking in my boots. I'm a behind-the-scenes rebel, shall I say. Thank you, Dr. Belgrave, Dr. Berry, and the selection committee, and Dr. Rao. Selection committee, I didn't know it was y'all, and then when you stood up, I was like, I know them, thank you, thank you. I'm greatly appreciative of this honor. It took me decades to find my voice and my purpose of being outside of being a mom. So I was a non-traditional student, graduated in 2020, which speaks to what Dr. Rao said, the diverse community here at VCU. I needed my glasses. I totally forgot those. As a student, I searched for spaces to belong in, even though I am seriously an introvert. Because of this, you are a dog. Thank you. Oh, so much better. Because of this, I wanted to see how I could help other students like me feel that they have a place. Thank you to my IDS and UC family, Ramley, for the nomination. Zach, Mariah, Adrena, Richard, Stephanie, and Chris. Thank you for allowing me to be me and giving me the space and opportunity to grow and give back. Thank you to Student Affairs, my first home. Thank you to the Office of Multicultural Student Affairs and Dr. Kadeba for having the platform, being a safe space, listening to my dreams, and helping to make them come alive. Thank you for allowing me to connect to the students and the university in ways that I didn't know were possible. Thank you to my professors that saw something in me that I didn't know I had at the time. Not only was the confidence boost beneficial to me as a student, but as a professional and as a person. Dr. Crilly encouraged me to write my undergraduate capstone as it was for real. I created a university land acknowledgement to be presented to the president's office, and who knew that a few years later that I would actually get to work on it and is under review now. Thank you to my family, my mom and my aunt, for being here today, my children across the country right now, for giving me the space and grace to work long days and sharing me with my students and my colleagues. You know, I got to also give a shout out to Dr. Brooks. He knew me many, many years ago, and then I saw him again, and he remembered me. I was like, no way, but he did. And finally, I have to give thanks to my ancestors, for without them, I would not be here. They had given me unmeasurable strength and guidance when I wondered if the choices I was making were right. When I feel my voice shaking, not like now, when advocating and speaking up for what is wrong and what is needed, they power me through. My voice stabilizes, and I hold strong in my stance and delivery. I do what I do for my students, my colleagues, my family, and for those who have not yet found our voice, their place, either physically, spiritually, and emotionally. I really appreciate this honor. Imposter syndrome is real, but thank you. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you. This year, we have 2 honorees for the Tristan Sloan Student Award. First, I'd like to share some information and background about this award. In 2019, a student Pacme winner, Tristan Sloan, won the Race Melton Award. Sadly, Tristan passed away in 2022. They were the best of VCU, a student driven to learn, a community member who modeled inclusion, and a survivor who embraced joy. Tristan's work for disability and transgender justice spoke to their unyielding desire for inclusion for all, and for all to be their authentic self. In honor of them, VCU named the Pacme Award for students the Tristan Sloan Pacme Award. The winner of the 2024 Tristan Sloan Pacme Award is Austin Izard, VCU class of 2024. Austin was nominated for this honor by Kwame Walker, class of 2025. Please come up, Kwame.
Thank you for the applause, guys. It is my honor to nominate someone who has been on my heart for a while. This was something that I was not expecting to do, but it was placed on me to do it, so I did it anyway. It is my esteemed pleasure to officially introduce Austin Izard, who is one of my best friends and is the former president of Pi Lambda Phi Fraternity, Virginia Omega Rho chapter, which I am proudly a part of. Also, I'm representing the VCU School of Social Work, so I am very pleased to be a student in the program. Here we go. Here's the bio that Austin has provided. Austin is an emerging leader in the social work profession and actively engaged in resilience and belonging work within a variety of communities. Austin is a student leader dedicated to the inclusion and advancement of students across VCU's medical and Monroe Park campuses. He has been involved with the Office of the President, Office of Student Success, Division of Student Affairs, the VCU School of Social Work, and more since his first year in 2020, which is where we first met, over Zoom. Austin is the former president of Pi Lambda Phi Fraternity of Virginia Omega Rho chapter, and is a VC representative to the State Council of Higher Education to Virginia. Austin will be continuing his educational journey in the spring of 2025 at Tulane University, School of Social Work as a Master of Social Work and a Master of Science in Disaster Resilience Leadership, dual degree candidate in their advanced standing program. I also like to acknowledge Kaylin Hill, David Robbins, and Dr. Maggie Tolan for helping me submit this nomination. Here's a little excerpt that Kaylin Hill has provided about Austin. Austin is a highly skilled, compassionate, and transformative leader during his tenure at VCU. He has been in the VCU Transform Living Learning community, and also he is a key and founding developer of the VCU Student Affairs first micro-credential badge, Leadership Through a Multicultural Lens, which was the ultimate reason why I submitted Austin for this nomination. During my story at VCU, I have, as a student, as a Black male student, I've had some trouble with belongingness and feeling like I am worthy of being in spaces like this. So Austin has been someone who has reached out to me in my darkest and lowest days, and he was one of the few students who actually checked in on me when I wasn't at my critical best. But with our friendship and brotherhood, it has been placed on my heart to be able to speak to his candor, the amounts of awards he has received. Prior to this is a lot, but it's all a testament to his work and his leadership and his drive to the VCU community. Austin, just remember to dare to dream, reach for higher heights as you continue to allow me to be curious about not only the social work profession, but bridging the gap towards inclusion. Thank you for being a light in my life, and thank you for being my best friend. I am pleased to finally announce Austin Ezzard as a recipient of the Tristan Sloan Student Award.
Hello, my name is Austin. I have not prepared any words today because I feel that my VCU experience was very unprepared. It was unplanned. My intention to come to VCU was to just get good grades and just make it by, just to be here at the university. I'm an out-of-state student. I am a military child. My mom is active duty military, about to retire. 20 plus years in service, so thank you for your service, Mom, and for your guidance and love and support, and incredible. But yeah, I mean, everything I did here at VCU was just out of curiosity and an interest in others, in providing a space, learning more about myself. And I really appreciate Dr. Tolan, my mentor, since 2021. Maggie, you have supported me so much, just challenging me as an individual to seek out opportunities, and to just develop myself as a person, developing my empathy and my inclusive spirit. Thank you to my brothers of PILAM. You guys were the space where I was able to most directly input my experience from my social work classes. So I'd like to thank Allison Riles and Stephanie O'Dara for you all's guidance with the BSW program. It's a great program. Shout out to the BSW program. I am proud to approach graduation. I'm about to graduate this semester, 2024. This VCU experience has been incredible. Like Kwame mentioned, I started in 2020 during COVID-19. The university is incredibly different from how it was back then. I was first on Zoom, my advisor, Jake, we were on Zoom just chatting up, just on Zoom. And, Jake really, during my first year, I was asking him, like, what do other students do? Like what goes on for the social work? Like, should I be doing this? Should I be doing internships? And Jake just, said, go for it, essentially. And so I did, and I really have not looked back from that period. So I really just want to thank just the advisors. They are the most student facing individuals on this campus. Shout out. You guys go through a lot. Managing students, but you guys are really key to our success. Jake, you're key to my success, so I really appreciate you. And yeah, I appreciate, a lot of y'all in this room. Again, didn't have anything prepared, so I hope I said everything I needed to say. But yeah, I'm very grateful for this honor. I'm very privileged to be here today. I want to give a short shout out to OMSA as well for giving me a space. Thank you to Dr. Kadeba, Beck, Jair, Trey. I see you back there with the shoes on. You look good. Yeah. Just thank you guys for so much. This really means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Austin, and I also like to thank you for your service on behalf of VCU, Austin's mom. Stand up. And the second winner of the Tristan Sloan Student Award is Kaylin Coghill. They are a doctoral student in the Media, Art, and Text program. Dr. Liz Canfield, Associate Professor and Associate Chair of the Department of Gender, Sexuality, and Women's Studies. I invite you to the podium to share your remarks.
Hi, y'all. So I'm so excited. I love this ceremony, and ceremony is so cool. It's like a room of tears, especially the student ones. Oh my God. Okay, not crying about Kwame and Austin's friendship at all. Not me. So I'm here to talk about Kay Coghill, who I've had the pleasure to work with, and Kay has been a graduate teaching assistant for us in gender, sexuality, and women's studies, and also got to know their scholarly work through the Media, Art, and Text program, which has been wonderful, and their teaching and their activist work, more importantly. So I'm one of 3 nominators. Dr. Jennifer Rhee in English spoke about Kay's grace and the importance of Kay's scholarship. She situates Kay's scholarship within a conversation such luminaries like Dr. Christina Sharp. Yet also, her scholarship makes its own mark with opening an important conversation about digital violence against Black women and non-binary femmes. Another nominator, Dr. Gina Longo, has spoken eloquently in her letter about Kay's scholarship as well, but also the important role that Kay played in founding the Digital Sociology Lab. So, what I'd like to talk about, though, Kay is a wonderful scholar and a wonderful university citizen, but it's me. So I want to talk about her activism and her teaching, which are 2 very important things. So we'll start with activism. So Kay, when she first came to Richmond, got really involved with the Richmond Reproductive Freedom Project. They were the volunteer coordinator and outreach specialist. It's through their involvement with RRFP, they became interested in becoming an abortion doula. Their feminism didn't stop just at reproductive rights. They started a program for Black girls and femmes, an after-school program talking about intersectional issues of race, class, gender, and sexuality within a liberationist framework. It's awesome. Kay's always been an advocate for anti-violence as well, and volunteered for local anti-violence groups like Virginia Anti-Violence Project, which is a group that focuses on violence against and within LGBTQ+ communities. Now Kay works for the national Me Too organization. Have y'all heard of that little small movement, Me Too? Yeah, as a communications director. So in addition to working on dissertation and, you know, teaching these awesome classes, me too. Okay. And about their teaching, it's so great. So they came to us, they shadowed professors, and they wanted to teach the Introduction to Gender, Sexuality, and Women's Studies, which they did very well. Students were like, yeah. But then they're like, I want to try some other things, you know? And I was like, what you got? And she's like, well, what about hip-hop, feminism, and poetry? I was like, hip-hop, feminism, and poetry, okay. Students are like, yes, more. So always first to fill up, always overriding students in those classes. Just adorable and amazing impact on GSWS and English majors. In addition, the new course, Misogynoir in Digital Spaces, is for GSWS and African American Studies, which I think is filled like less than a month into registration. I mean, students are like, yes. So anyway, so students point out that Kay is intellectual, yet approachable, knowledgeable, yet open to new ideas, demanding, and most importantly, kind. This level of teaching and service to more than their home department. So they're teaching cross-listed classes to a lot of different departments. It's rarely seen with a graduate student. I mean, come on, y'all, like, it's amazing. And in fact, I'm gonna say this, I might get in trouble for it, but they actually put some tenured faculty to shame with their dedication, innovation, and an open and loving presence in the classroom and outside the classroom as well. So, not only is Kay Coghill a talented and innovative scholar, they're also working in important activist circles, both locally and nationally, and they're showing themselves to be a truly impactful teacher. I feel that they fit the spirit and the letter of the Tristan Sloan Award. And Dr. I'll start crying. Tristan was I mentored them when they were here. And I think that if Tristan could meet Kay, they would be so excited. They would be like, yes, this is of course the person that should have this award. You too, Austin. But no, seriously, I think that like the three of them would have a wonderful conversation together. And so, and just very pleased to have the honor to spearhead this nomination and also to say all these nice things about Kay, because they're all true. So, without further ado, soon to be Dr. Kay Coghill.
They let me come on the stage and get a microphone. For those that know me, students, faculty, and staff, I am something else, to say the least. But good afternoon to my VCU friends, colleagues, students, and family. I will begin with a quote from Lucille Clifton and close with a quote from Lucille Clifton. She says, "What I have shaped into a kind of life, I had no model. I had a very hard childhood full of abuse, neglect, danger, lots of loss and harm, but school was always my safe space. I found myself through different books, summer enrichment programs, and activities. I was nurtured and cared for by Black women in this very city who made sure I had my needs met and that I knew I belonged. As an adult, I often reflect on how I can show up like this for the youth in the community and the students here at VCU. As a doctoral candidate, and soon to be doctor, on Friday at 1 p.m. Thank you. have been blessed with the support from the Gender, Sexuality, and Women's Studies Department and English Department to not only shine as a doctoral student, but also shine in the classroom. I have been given the opportunity time and time again to create my own classes from scratch and introduce other VCU students to a new perspective. To see someone who looks like them with a whole bunch of tattoos, a grill, grew up poor, Highland Park, North Side, if you're from Richmond, you know. In a space that is considered academia as a traditionally white and violent place, right? So showing them that you can show up as yourself in this space has been important. And I also have the honor to remind them that their thoughts are valuable. Most of my classes are discussion-based, so I require my students to talk, and what I've noticed is that over the semester, they get more and more comfortable bringing in their own experiences into the classroom, and that's really important to me. I get the opportunity to not only be an educator, but to also be an abortion doula, which allows me to support those who are in need of those services in the city. And I get to co-facilitate a sister circle that I started with my soror and best friend, Christina, who is also a doc student, right here. Clap it up for Christina. Called GLOW, which is rooted in hip-hop feminism and also Black feminism. And we do it at Highland Springs High School, if you're familiar. Being active in my community is my act of resistance. Like I said, I had a hard life. And now I get to create the life I always wanted, hand in hand with Black women and femmes who look like me, see me, and heard my cries. I get to be my true self, a true girl from Northside Richmond, all of the 804. Here at VCU, I am so grateful for that. I also now get the opportunity to represent all students here at VCU, no matter where they came from. This is an esteemed award that I am very grateful to accept. Daddy, I am still here, and I wish you could see me shine. To close, I want to quote Lucille Clifton again by saying, "Come celebrate with me, that every day something has tried to kill me and has failed." Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kaylin. And just a shout out to our amazing students. This is why faculty and staff are here. Thank you so much. I'm so happy now to present the winner of the Capstone Pacme Award, the Race Melton Award. I want to pause and thank and welcome Lauren Melton Glasper to the podium. Lauren is the granddaughter of one of the award's namesakes, Mr. Herman Melton Sr. We're so honored to welcome Laura to today's celebration. This Rice Melton Award recognizes one of our Pacme Award recipients for exemplary service toward promoting cross-cultural relations. The Rice Melton Award is named for two pathfinders in our institution's history who dared to reach across the racial divide during less enlightened times. Dr. Walter J. Rice fled Nazi Germany with his family during World War I and brought with him to the U.S. a deep-seated belief in the equal rights of all people. From 1941 until retirement in 1976, Dr. Rice served as professor of neurology and psychiatry at our medical center, where opportunities for African-American employers were unequal due to legislature or employee biases. One of these employees was his colleague, Mr. Herman Melton, a scientist and inventor who worked at the medical center for more than 55 years, as Dr. Rao mentioned, until his retirement in 1965. For much of that time, Mr. Melton assisted Dr. Rice in his research. In his role as chief autonomy technician, Melton trained other technicians and was a valuable resource to medical students. We continue the Rice Melton Award because it reminds us of these two courageous individuals who did so much to create a culture in which today we are able to celebrate diversity It is an honor to welcome Mr. Melton's granddaughter, Lauren Melton Glasper, to the stage to present this award.
Greetings, woo, and welcome. The rest of the Melton family is there on the front row. My first cousin, Laura Thornton Wesley, is also a granddaughter. There she is. But I am the daughter of Herman Melton Jr., so therefore I have retained the maiden name of Melton. I'm going to take just a minute to give you a snippet of my grandfather and his passion for what he did. My grandfather worked from home and at MCV for a very long time. He worked evenings, holidays, and weekends. My cousin, who is just a little older than what I am, had the opportunity of being in the home lab with him. She got to shake the vials that had the beads in it so that the blood that was extracted from the animals that he had on his farm that were close enough to the human blood to do the testing. I was not allowed to do that. My cousin, who is a little more sedentary than what I am, a little more easygoing than what I was, also got to be in the laboratory with him. I got put out like the Flintstone cat, so that I would not break any of the tubes or break anything else. He was quite dedicated. Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, and birthdays, before we could celebrate, he had to feed up and extract the blood from the animals to do the research. He also took the tubes and he made a holder and he put them in there so that he could bring them to work on Monday. And he never missed a beat, even when he retired. So in order for me to know this, I had to experience it and to hear it. Congratulations to all of you all, because he would have been thrilled that you were here. He loved this institution, and we are so proud that an award, the Reese Melton Award, still bears his name and that we're all here. Laura and I are two of the grandchildren that is still here, and he has 1, 2, 3 great-grandchildren that are here. And I'll take a little thing. My son looks just like the Meltons. So that DNA is something in there. You ready? So, my family and I join me in congratulating the winner of the 2024 Reese Melton Award. It is top secret and confidential. Dr. Sean Yutzi. And I know I messed up his name, but thank you so much. Thank you so much.
No, come in here. I'm honored to, wow. I didn't expect this. I didn't expect this. Wow.
Well deserved.
Wow.
Wow. Oh, and the cheek.
Cheek busy.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
And before he gives his remarks, I just want you to know I'm a proud graduate of the class of 1982, but I would not have been up here with this group. I was doing some other things.
Wow. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you for allowing us to get to know your grandfather a little bit better. Thank you, President Rao, the selection committee, and to all of this year's nominators and nominees. I also like to thank the family of our honorees, and if they could stand or raise their hands, you can be recognized. So members, I would be remiss not to mention the hard work and dedication and planning of members of the Pacme Planning Committee, who also made today's event a success. And I'm going to just briefly call their names. Please raise your hand or stand. Abby Kruger, Teresa Delaney DeWall, Stephanie Hart, they're being modest, Corey Martin, Sarah McCall, Lon Nguyen, Louise Putnam, Amy Kelly, Enterprise Marketing and Communication, and the University Student Commons. Thank you all for your contributions to this wonderful ceremony. Again, congratulations to our 2024 Pacme winners. Thank you all so much for giving of yourself to promote equity, inclusion, and diversity. And this is why we do what we do. Please enjoy some refreshments and celebrate this year's winners.